Alright, so let's talk about everyone's favorite waifu, Lakshmi, and some of the common mistakes that are found in this fight. There aren't really too many, but there are a lot of opportunities where you can just be standing in a wrong place and end up dead. But today, we're going to cover some of those things, and with number one, I really want to talk about putting markers when it comes down to Divine Desire. That is something that usually trips a lot of people up, and just putting some markers down on the field can definitely help out 100%. Marking 4 different areas of the map will allow each role to be separated by Divine Desire and avoid everybody hitting each other at the end, which could result in a party wiping. Now, just for safekeeping, what you want to do is you want to eliminate the ads as fast as you can. Yes, it sounds silly, but it gives you the maximum amount of uptime in order to keep DPS on the boss. This is a pretty good example here. Now, what should we do with the flowers that are above our heads? It's important that you spread them out so that the AoEs don't overlap each other, and try angling your camera down so that you can almost look down at everyone else to make sure the lines are properly set up and aligned perfectly. Overlapping these two can result in your HP being extremely low, and a following wide room AoE can definitely result in 1 or 2 deaths, which can be a huge DPS loss. Now, what makes this fight kinda easy is that Lakshmi gives you an audio cue whenever she's about to do the Path of Light, and she'll also mark one of the tanks or whoever is in second on the hate list with a blue stack over their head, just like this. Whenever you see the stack on top of your head, please stand either left or to the right of the tank to avoid being blasted by this attack, which could result in you dying, or the rest of your party dying. Now, this is something that you don't have to do, but as soon as she does turn into her chinchilla form, you want to pop your veil. And sometimes what I personally do, if I feel like, hey, it'll help my DPS, is I'll use a knockback immunity like Surecast or Arm's Length to prevent being pushed back, so I can maximize the amount of time that I have to DPS on her. Not too many mistakes that I see in this section, but when I do see any mistakes, it's usually because the other players are either dead, or killing the ad, or putting dots on the ad and the ad ends up dying faster. This is a very simple step. What we can do is, again, just make sure that the HP of the ads is around 20 to 15% before the veil gets onto them, and when the veil gets onto them, we want to make sure that we are taking them out as fast as possible. Once she comes out of her ultimate animation, my personal advice is if you are a ranged DPS, you can always just pre-position yourself to where you have to be with your partner, pop your veil, and you know that you're safe and you have the capability of maximizing your DPS. Now, I want to point something out again. I don't mean to be an asshole about this, but the ninja over here was not partnered up with their partner, which could result in our friend the bard being DPS down by the both of us and result in him dying, which again could be a huge DPS loss. Now, another pointer that I do want to give you guys is that you want to maximize the amount of veil that you have in this section of the fight. If you happen to miss it or someone happens to take your veil, that's okay. Lakshimi will give you another chance to gain some more veil. So, take that opportunity as fast as you can. Now, both of the bards are going to be targeted with Alluring Arm, and as you can see, they are actually standing right on top of each other, which is what we want to avoid, because again, these two can overlap and kill you. Now, I believe this would be the proper way that you should be handling this mechanic as it comes forth toward you. Now, these are some of the mistakes that I happened to make a couple months ago when I happened to be doing this fight around the first time. Now, it's very important that you have almost a maximum amount of rail at this point, because you're going to need it for the upcoming 3 mechanics. You're going to need it for Divine Down. As you can see, I'm not stacked with my partner. You're also going to need it for the next following stack mechanic that comes up. And after the stack mechanic, you're going to need it for the following room-wide AoE. Without a rail, this can potentially kill you. Now, what you can also do to kind of bait the situation is if everybody happens to have their veil and you don't necessarily have to stack with them. The reason I'm saying that you don't have to stack with them is because you are guaranteed to 100% die if that is the case. Now, if you don't stack with them and everybody else has their veil, you can again maximize the amount of DPS that you have. For the biggest mistake that I see a lot of people happen to do in the Lakshimi fight is that they do not get the last amount of veil that they can. After the Z formation, you want to ensure that you have a rail by getting either one of them before you stack with the rest of your party. You popping that veil will avoid you dying to the next wide room AoE attack. Probably seen everywhere where anyone can possibly mess up the fight. Everything after this is just repeating things that you've already seen. Now, I want to thank you guys again for watching this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.